LEILA Tagisan.
Good morning,
Madam.
Your Honor.
In international law, is there a distinction between international armed conflict on the one hand and non-international armed conflict on the other hand? Since you mentioned this in your statement.
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
I ask this question basically for the education of the public.
The difference between international armed conflict and non-international armed conflict. Well, under the Geneva Convention, under the Rome Statute, it really contemplates international conflict and also non-international
Opo, ganito
conflict.
kasi yon. Meron tayong law of armed conflict pag naggera ang dalawang estado, dalawang states. Meron tayo law of non-international armed conflicts pag naggera ang estado or ang state with a rebel group within its midst. At saka, gumawa tayo ng ganitong distinction para hindi mabigyan ng legality, hindi ma-legitimize ang mga terorista at ang mga rebelde. That is the answer.
Yes.
There is non-international armed conflict in this situation, and we must therefore remember that the terrorists are not entitled, in most cases, to the protections of the international instruments on the conduct of warfare, such as the Geneva Conventions and the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. Second question, what challenge is posed by the development and the application of humanitarian law to these non-international armed conflicts? Bakit napakahirap i-apply ang ating international humanitarian law sa ating sariling bansa dito sa nangyari sa Sapano?
Ang nakikita ko po dyan is that marami ho kasing nuances yung tungkol sa pag-apply
The
ng
answer to that-
international humanitarian
Yes.
law, because first we have to determine what exactly is the status, Your Honor, of MILF. And
Yes.
I think there's divergence of opinion there. But the MILF has already stated that they remain to be a revolutionary organization. And therefore, as a revolutionary organization, what do we call them? How do we consider them? Is it an insurgent force? Is it belligerent? Although I'm not prepared to concede to that there is a status of
There's a
belligerency.
distinction between an insurgent and a belligerent. A belligerent had more rights under international law than an insurgent, but wala na ngayon ang belligerent
Yes,
in
yes, Your
international
Honor.
law vocabulary.
Under the traditional international law, there used to be a difference, but it has evolved into something else, into something that you don't make any distinction because of the human rights perspectives of all of this.
The challenge in this situation by humanitarian law is the following. The battle or the fight is asymmetrical. Hindi sila magkapantay. Kasi itong isa is a full state with all the requisites of a state. A population, a territory, and the capacity to deal with other nations on an equality basis. Whereas itong isa, pasundot-sundot